Good morning, everyone. And Mr. Chairman, members of the Legislative Joint Transportation Committee. Again, my name is Pete Dufresne, and I'm the St. James Parish President. First, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to be here and address the issues in St. James Parish. Yes, and I'd also like to thank Secretary Sean Wilson and his staff for working with St. James Parish over the years to help us get many of our projects done. One of the projects on the list for letting next year is the Highway 20 Roadway Widening project, which is our top priority. We understand that there have been delays associated with the construction of the LA-20 Bayou Chauviere Bridge project, but these two projects are independent of each other and can work concurrently. We want to make sure that this project is not delayed. Our community needs this project as it is a serious safety concern for our residents. We want to ensure that the letting date of April 2023 is not delayed. On the list of projects being developed, H014286 is the US 61 overlay, which has been in development for several years. This is a critically needed project as the roadway has deteriorated to a terrible condition and is in fact crumbling. This project has been in development now for several years. We would like to see that this project advance to construction in early 2023. A new project for development is H015176, which include J-turns at LA-3127 and 3213. St. James Parish has contributed local funds to match capital outlay dollars from last year's legislative session to widen LA-3127 to 4 lanes from 3213 to LA-20. This project is currently under design, and we ask that DOTD partner with St. James Parish such that the J-turn project that is listed here can be implemented into the 3127 widening project, which we are currently undertaking. As part of the 3127 widening project, we would like to request additional funding to assist with the pavement preservation of the existing portion of LA-3127. And for that to become part of the project, we are undertaking to widen 3127. We appreciate all the hard work going into the projects on the list. However, there are other needs within St. James Parish that have been brought to this committee at previous meetings. We would like to see these projects progress as soon as possible, which include overlaying of 3125 from Highway 641 to LA-70, overlaying of 3127 from LA-20 to Highway 70, safety improvements to LA 642 in Grandpoint from Highway 44 to Highway 3125, including remediation of dangerous roadway side slopes and pavement rehab. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak to you this morning. God bless each one of you and your families, and God bless our veterans. And I'm subject to any questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. Vice Chairman Brass.
Thank you. And I just would like to piggyback off of President Dufresne's comments that all the projects that he did mention are definitely critical and needed for St. James Parish, and not only St. James Parish, but for the entire region as far as Thibodeau, Homer, the residents from that entire corridor that travels the area on a daily basis. I see Mr. Dennis Hemel here in the audience, who's an engineer on another project that's real critical. If he would come up, please just kind of give everybody an update. But those of you that travel the St. James Parish, West Bank, Thibodeau, Homer area, when there's an accident or some type of issue along Highway 20, it literally shuts down that corridor. We've been successful as far as submitting grants federally, and also we solicited some additional state dollars. But if Dennis, if you may, maybe just kind of give the committee an overview of that bypass project that we are currently working on in the Vassar area.
Well, certainly. Dennis Hemel, Crescent Engineering and Mapping. We did submit a raise grant last year for the LA-20 bypass, but it was not successful. So, Mr. President, I don't know if we're going to submit that again next year.
Yes, we're looking forward to advancing that application and possibly submitting it again. it was rated very favorably across every category of the grant application, and we anticipate applying for it once again, and hopefully we can procure some land acquisitions and things that we may need to move forward. But yes, I would anticipate reapplying for the raised grant application for that. It's a much needed project. Not only the residents of St. James Parish, but also all the residents of Terrebonne and Lafourche south of us depend on incorporating this into the north-south corridor for evacuation purposes and things of that nature to relieve the stress off of the seriously neglected Highway 20 infrastructure in South Vacherie. I think the studies indicated that over 65% of the traffic on Highway 20 in South Vacherie is through traffic. So it's a much needed corridor that not only St. James Parish needs, but all the residents of Lafourche and Terrebonne as well.
So just a couple of particulars. The project is a 2.5 mile bypass, which actually shortens the route from the Thibodeau-Houma area to I-10 by about 1/2 of a mile. And the benefit cost analysis on the project showed that there was a 6-to-1 ratio for every dollar spent on the project. There was $6 saved in terms of vehicle miles traveled, emissions. So it was really highly rated by US DOT in the raised grant application, and we're hopeful that we could be successful again next year, submitting in raise 2023. And that's certainly, Representative Brass and members of the committee, if that's a project that you all feel, excuse me, you all and Louisiana DOT feel is a good project to add to the list, then we would certainly like to consider it. I believe the parish has offered to engage in local road transfer to the amount of $3 million to help fund some of the engineering design and the right-of-way acquisition for the project. And Highway 20, most of you may not be familiar, but Highway 20 is the route that you take to go from our area in Lafourche and Terrebonne, Port Fourchon, to Baton Rouge via the Veterans Memorial Bridge in Gramercy over the Mississippi River. It facilitates about 22,000 vehicles per day, and it is a regional corridor, and the only detour for this route is about 40 miles out of the way. So this is a corridor that facilitates goods and movement of goods between the Mississippi River and our ports to the south and vice versa. So this is an extremely important corridor. During Hurricane Ida, it was shut down for 2 days. It's heavily congested.
If not more than 2 days.
If not more than 2. So this gives us route redundancy, and it's really a noteworthy project. US DOT thought so as well. Of course, there were many applications submitted through RAISE, and that's a highly competitive grant process. So we're hopeful that we can be successful next year, but with this committee's support of our legislative delegation and also DOTD, I think we can make that project a reality. And it's a project that's bigger than St. James Parish. It's bigger than any one legislative or Senate district. It's a regional project that touches, maybe 1.5 million people from Lafourche, Terrebonne, St. Mary, all the way up through the river parishes.
And we have had quite a number of accidents in that area recently. In fact, just 2 weeks ago, I think we had a vehicle accident where a pickup truck impacted a telephone line, and it laid the electrical lines across the Highway 20 and shut the whole corridor down for 6 or 8 hours or so until Entergy could get out there and repair it. So had this bypass been in existence, it would have alleviated all of those problems. So we certainly would appreciate this committee considering this project.
Okay. And just in response to some other issues you mentioned, Mr. President, we have had conversation with the local district and Secretary Wilson about those 2 projects in reference to the Highway 20 widening and the Bayou Chauviere Bridge, where those projects can work simultaneously. So I don't think, as of now, that scheduled letting date will be impacted as a result of delays on the bridge. And then secondly, the project in reference to the overlay of that portion of Highway 61 on the East Bank within St. John and St. James Parish, that's scheduled to be let in, I think, second or summertime next year. So in addition to that, we're actually going to add the safety barriers along the median for that project, and also there's going to be some work done to that intersection, add an additional turn lane at the Highway 61, I think it's 641 intersection, right by the airline highway in that intersection off the Memorial
Right.
Bridge. So that work should be leaded sometime early mid next year.
Right. Yeah, that'd be great. You know, and then especially touching back on that bypass again, once again, Representative Brass, that project would tie in very nicely with the additional 4-lane that the parish and the DOTD is currently underway now. It would just work well to significantly increase the infrastructure, you know, throughout St. James Parish.
Thank you, guys.
So thanks
before you
again.
leave,
Yeah.
just want to personally publicly thank you again for your response to the derailment a couple of weeks ago. Not only yourself, but to the Emergency Preparedness Director, Eric DeRoche, and his staff, and also Human Resource Director, Eric LeBlanc, and our great sheriff. So thank you guys for working together and securing that area as soon as you did. Yep,
Thank you, Representative Brass. You know, they have too many people to even start mentioning, but not only the folks you just mentioned, but our residents as well they responded really well to the evacuation orders and to the warnings, and everything just went smoothly. And we need to thank the residents as much as we need to thank the staff and the sheriff's office and the volunteer firefighters who actually did the evacuating. So thank you for recognizing that.